SoCon, our second episode of the year. I'm Jack Gold. I'm joined by my guy Matt. Matt, how are you doing?
Good, Jack. How are you, man?
Yeah, good. Matt with the new mic. Me with the functioning Wi-Fi. I'm in the UTC library right now because my Wi-Fi at my horrible apartment does not doesn't seem to work for anything. So hopefully, for those watching on YouTube, can see my beautiful face going around, and then you can hear Matt better on podcast or anything like that. So today we're just going to cover, what's happened in the SoCon. So we're going to talk about teams, their wins, upcoming games. I'm going to go over some questions too that we've gotten on social media. If you haven't, follow us on Twitter, subscribe here on YouTube or podcast or whatever. But on Twitter, really, you can interact with us. We're going to put out a question, tweet for every episode, a few days or whatever. We love talking about it. We're going to enjoy that segment later. So let's get right into it. We're going to talk about Furman first. Furman, big win over Belmont. First big win. We ignored the first game versus North Greenville, whatever they were hurt. Matt, I know you watched a lot of that. What were your thoughts on that game?
They were very impressive in that game. There was a run that they went on about midway through the first half where they really pushed the lead. I think they got up to like 19 or something like that, and it was scary. They were out in transition and running. Pegues was on one that night. Cade Tyson wasn't great, but it's not like Belmont was, in that game that much, and his performance really changed the outcome. But JP Pegues was just great, and you watch that game and you think that he can do everything, and then he goes and meets Cade Tyson at the rim for a block, and I'm just like, my mind was blown. I was super impressed with Cooper Bowser in that one. He came in and gave him some really good minutes, and Max matched up with Dia down low. And we were talking last week a little bit about what they would do when Pegues came back with PJ Smith and Carter Witt. And I seem to think that the best version of them is when those three are out on the floor together, and then they add a stretch big like either Huey or Garrett Heen, and then one of either Bowser, Vanderwall, or Molnar. So they were very impressive on Friday night.
Yeah, I'll show some love to Garrett Heen. He's never been my favorite player. I've never been a big fan of him. But if he's going to knock down threes, I can respect it. I'll he's not a bruiser or anything like a lot of bigs are. But if he's going to knock down threes and rebound generally well enough, he's a lot better player in my eyes. And that's part of the reason why I haven't loved him in the past, because he's not knocking down threes like that. I think he shot 2 for 4 there. PJ Smith, I thought it looked really good, really controlled, almost seamlessly from Division II. I agree on Bowser, and Marcus Foster's good. And even, an underrated aspect of that game too was Alex Williams was hurt. And that's a guy I thought, I know I said that preseason, and that's way back in the summer. I thought Alex Williams could be, their third best player. I think he's really good. He's hurt. I don't know. I haven't looked. I'm not sure how long he's going to be out. But yeah, I was really impressed with him. I was impressed with Huey even. I thought he looked decent, and Bowser and Heen, their bigs are going to be better than I thought they would be. So let's go ahead.
The impact that Pegues just has on that lineup, Garrett Heen especially, is when they played North Greenville, he didn't have anything going, and the offense was really just stagnant and looked uncomfortable at times. But then you throw Pegues out there, and he gets everybody going. He gets Garrett Heen open looks early, and when he knocks him down, his energy gets up, and then it keeps on spreading.
Yeah, and I really liked how they use Marcus Foster too sometimes. I think they should do this even more. Posting up a big wing like him and just letting him work. And that's what Western we'll talk about later with Woolbright. I love posting up big wings and big guards and stuff like that. I think he can be really good if he just becomes a knockdown 3-point shooter and really abuses, the guys guarding him, because with a guy who can dribble or take it off the dribble and shoot like that, they're not going to put, bigs on him. And I think he can work work those matchups. So upcoming, they've got Liberty and UAB. That is about as good as it gets mid-major wise in matchups. And those are some really good chances for wins. I think tonight they have Liberty will have this episode hopefully out before then. But yeah, you have any thoughts on those games?
Yeah, I don't know a lot about Liberty and UAB, but they are very good. One of our questions is going to be about out of conference wins, and like Furman's not playing super high level teams, but they're playing some damn good mid majors. And I mean, like you can look at these wins if they end up getting them, and you can point them out as very impressive.
Yeah, for sure. Liberty is good. Again, they lost Darius McGee from last year. Darius McGee scored 1 billion points in mid-major basketball. He's like 5'8" and would pull from everywhere. And they replaced him with two little white dudes that do the same exact thing and just play with extreme confidence, pull from everywhere. Even their bigs can shoot. I was impressed. I watched them play Charlotte the other day. They're a good team. They're maybe not even going to take a step back from being one of the top teams, and they switch conferences too. UAB, same thing. UAB lost Jelly Walker, small guard, chucked it, and they had a big win the other day. I'm trying to remember who they or they were right in with it. Let me check. Yeah, they beat Maryland the other day. They're a good team too, and they lost to Clemson by 1, lost to Bradley by 2. Bradley will compete for the Missouri Valley. Really good conference. But yeah, no, they're so UAB's 1 and 2, but that record's misleading. They played 3 really good teams. Those are just some good quality matchups and some chances to even impress me even more. One more thing on the Belmont game, I totally forgot. Belmont didn't. Belmont shot horribly, so I maybe don't take a 30-point win or whatever they did. Belmont looked bad, but I was super impressed with how well they dominated that. Because I don't think if they shot well, they would have won it either way. I thought they forced Belmont to take a ton of quick threes, which they like doing, but made Tyson shoot poorly. Malik Dia is so on and off. He looked huge, by the way. If you were watching that, he is gigantic, dude. I didn't realize that when he was at Vanderbilt, I guess, because he's out there with 7-footers. He's just so bulky and so much bigger than everyone out there. I thought it was hilarious watching him out there. So let's move on to Western Carolina, and they're probably, they got to be the team of the week so far, or team of the year so far in the SoCon. Makes me feel vindicated. Wins over Notre Dame. Notre Dame's not great, but Notre Dame's got a good coach, and they're eventually going to be good. They still have the roster talent, but to go into Notre Dame, get a win, it's a big deal. And I think even a bigger win than that is the win over MTSU at MTSU. Super athletic team. I thought that might be a tough matchup for them because MTSU is just Western Carolina on steroids a lot of years, like just going to out-athlete you and has got talented players too. I thought that was a super impressive win. Did you watch either of those?
I did. I watched both of them. I'm loving my Vonterius Woolbright Player of the Year pick so far. Yeah, back-to-back double-doubles. Had 20 each night. I'm a little concerned about Trey Jackson. He went 2 for 20 combined in both games. He did not play well. But I don't expect that to continue for him. And, you can look on the bright side of it and say, well, Trey Jackson didn't play well, but we beat 2 really good. Like, we beat a high-level Notre Dame team and MTSU without him really showing up. And Notre Dame, Russell Jones he played huge. He hit some big shots in that game. And I really liked what I saw from DJ Campbell, especially against MTSU. I was confused that he was in the starting lineup, but it seems to be the right thing. And then bring Peloti and Cornelius Williams off the bench. He plays some really good defense, and he hits the open shots when they come to him.
Yeah, it's Kamar Robertson, just a Mercer merchant. He's coming off the bench and barely playing at all. I thought he would be a guy that started. I'm with you. DJ Campbell, and that's probably the most impressive thing to me about Western so far is their other guys. I said the other day, their other guys have been good. I mean, Russell Jones Jr., he's not a star no matter what. Some people, I see him grouped with Jackson and Woolbright all the time. He's not in that group to me, but he's been really good. DJ Campbell has been awesome. I mean, I didn't expect him to take on this load of, taking shots and scoring like he has. I think they're bigs. I think I've seen some Western Carolina fans shout out Cole Spivey at times on Twitter. He complain about their bigs. I don't think they're going to miss. I think they're going to be just fine. I think Lampton is definitely a work in progress, but he's a big body. I think Cornelius Williams has just shown a lot of promise. He's super athletic. Probably both of them need to play a little smarter and know their role and maybe take a little bit out of the book of Colin Granger, who I guess at this point is probably their third, second big, depends. I think Colin Granger's awesome because, as a player, he's not going to accomplish a ton, but man, he just knows who he is. And he goes out there, he defends, set screens. He's not there to, get his and whatnot, and it's perfect for that team. So maybe if they learn a little bit from a, Western Carolina vet there, I think they're going to be just fine. I think they've got talent there. And then Pelote has been the guy that's really impressed me. He can stroke it, dude. He's been shooting it really well. And if he continues, his size and shoots like that, that's another completely other weapon that I wasn't thinking about. They're super deep.
Yeah, I really like Lampton for them just because the other four starters are so good. You don't need a lot from him, especially with how much they post up Woolbright and his ability to create for others when a double team comes. You really just need some size down there with Lampton, and if he progresses well, you're even better. But I don't think they need double doubles from him every night. They just need a solid rim protector and just some size down there.
Yeah, and I forgot to touch on you talked about Trey Jackson. I think that could be their one potential downfall, especially in a tournament setting, win or go home setting in Asheville. And I think they'll figure this out at some point. It's clear that everyone knows, including these two guys, that Jackson and Woolbright are the guys. They might be shot chucking a little too much. They might be, Jackson is. I love this confidence he's playing with, and as a coach, I totally appreciate instilling that confidence in your players, giving the ultimate green light. Maybe we need to get better shots. Maybe we need to stop shooting 2-on-1 pull up threes on the break. And Woolbright, he's so good at just playing at his own pace and just slowly, methodically getting to the low post. And I love wing post, but maybe he needs to stop trying to be so foul dependent at times. He shot like 5 for 20 or 4 for 20 the other night and had like 16 free throws. And if they keep calling it, awesome. But I feel like over time, especially in a league as well coached as the SoCon is, people are going to figure it out and they're going to say, just go straight up. He's trying to get fouled every time. But yeah, I mean, especially if he can shoot the 3 too. And I think he shot it fine so far this year. He's going to be good, and Jackson are going to be good. And I'm not super worried about it, but I do think with how good everyone else has been, maybe we need to get better shots as the stars rather than, they don't need them every night to be, 20 and 10 guys apiece. And so I've been impressed with them. They've got upcoming McNeese State. That's tonight or tomorrow. That's a chance for a really good win. Like I said, I talked about it last episode. McNeese State's really good. They're going to win their conference. Western Carolina goes and wins that one. They're looking good. They're going to be in really prime position to just come into the SoCon play really hot.
Yeah, one last thing about Western Carolina is both of those games were somewhat close down the stretch, and they showed a real ability to execute, in close games down the stretch and make their free throws when it counts. So that is something to take note of when tournament time comes around.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Chattanooga. Big week for them. Wins over Louisville, and probably even more impressive was the win over Bellarmine. I know the name Louisville gets people, and Louisville's going to be fine. this year. But if they were in the SoCon, they'd probably finish like 5th, 6th. It depends. I'd probably say they finished 5th. The talent's gonna figure it out. But super talented team, not well coached, and a bunch of selfish guys too. I don't think it's all on Kenny Payne. I'm not gonna get too much into this, but there's a lot of me guys on that Louisville team, which is some coaching, but it's also some red flag guys I talked about last game. That was a big win. Honor Huff, that game. Good Lord, he was awesome. Miles Shea too. What's great, Sam Alexis. If you haven't watched Chattanooga, you won't even recognize him. I mean, he is head and shoulders better than he was last year. More athletic, better post game, better defender, better rebounder. He's really impressed me so far. And then Bellarmine, big win over them the other night. Got down 5 points. I'll take a second on Bellarmine. That's a good team. That is I think I posted the Chattanooga plays a coach's kid, athletic, all that team, and they did. And last year they got all that credit whenever they beat. I can't remember. They knocked somebody off early in the year. Eric Musselman's like, we will never play that team. And then they didn't finish the year great, but they had some injuries. Dude, they got some dudes too. They're crazy, well coached, super smart. Like all the cliches are true. And I don't think they made a mistake like all night, dude. They guarded super well. Their offense was awesome. They were really just finding good shots and taking advantage of matchups. And then Chattanooga, it felt like they couldn't get a stop, and not even to their own fault. And when it came time to do it, down 5 with a little bit over 3 minutes left, they went on a 13-0 run to finish, and that was super impressive. What were your thoughts on the 2 games as a whole for you, Matt?
Yeah, like you mentioned, they were down 5 with, I think it was like 3 or 4 minutes to go, and it seemed that all hope was lost because we were like, this Bellarmine team is not going to beat themselves. They're going to execute down here, and they're going to find a way. And then something just sparked in Chattanooga that I don't know what happened, but it was interesting to see Honor Huff on Friday at Louisville. He hit 7 threes and scores 25 points. And I was kind of thinking that doesn't seem that sustainable. I don't know how much he can do that. And then he comes out against Bellarmine and he can't buy a bucket from deep, but he still leads the team in scoring. He kind of recognized early his jumper wasn't falling like he wanted to, so you could see him make an effort to get to the rack. I can't say enough about Miles Shea. He has been great. He does not look like a freshman. I know that was both of our pick for freshman of the year, and I mean he just fits the bill. It was interesting to see after Jan Zedek's debut, he's kind of come back down to earth. His jumper's kind of fallen away from him, but I do agree the Bellarmine win is probably more impressive than Louisville. And then, yeah, like you said, Sam Alexis just looks like a different basketball player. I mean, he looks like a big, physical, intimidating, presence at the rim. He's crashing the offensive glass like a madman. And he's the one that actually gave them the lead with a putback before Miles Shea hit the 3 to extend it. So, I mean, they've got pieces, but, like you wrote the piece that their confidence really came out. And I think if they can get rolling like that, they could be a problem.
Yeah, for sure. And even like you said, and I've said too, about it being more impressive in Louisville, Dan Earl was asked that, and he, reluctantly kind of admitted it. He didn't really talk about the Louisville, but he was like, yeah, you could say that. And I was like you said too, I was super impressed. They shot 20% from 3, barely. And Honor Huff couldn't buy a bucket from 3. Jan Zedek, his shot's going to come around. It's not like his shot looks bad. They couldn't shoot it. And Demetrius Davis, you got to hope that his shot comes around, because I talk about Jan Zedek's shot doesn't look bad. Demetrius Davis' shot looks completely different this year. I don't know what he's doing. It was never a super pretty shot, but it was always online. Made a lot last year. He's one maybe to be worried about. He made some big plays on defense and got some offensive rebounds there. But his shot is probably a little concerning. But the fact that they couldn't knock down threes, Honor Huff really got to the rim, and it wasn't like just he was scoring over big guys. It wasn't one of those things like, oh, well, you get against good big. He was hitting some tough layups, super quick. He's pretty unreal. And Miles Che, like you said, too, every bit of what he's been billed to be so far. Really good player. But yeah, the fact that they won when they weren't doing, weren't hitting the shots that they normally hit, and kind of how they win, death by threes was super impressive to me. Upcoming now.
My favorite part of that game was Randy Brady came off the bench and had 9 huge rebounds, and he had a plus minus of 23.
Yeah, go back. If you don't know the Randy Brady, he got a big board there late. Got up, the highest I've ever seen him jump. Go back if you don't know Randy Brady and why he was the highest recruit in UTC history. It's the truth back in high school. He went him and Darius Garland used to run Nashville at Brentwood Academy. He moved to McEachern in Atlanta or that kind of area. Him and Sharif Cooper. He's got more balls life videos with him in it than probably anyone in SoCon history. Maybe he was the truth, and he got up so high for that last rebound. Sam Alexis in the post game was like, man, Randy used to have hops in high school or something, and they kind of made fun of him for used to. But yeah, no, he impressed me too, and he's a guy too that's like, he's not great at anything, but he's just a good basketball player. And I think especially I don't think Tyler Millen or Demetrius Davis has played all that great so far, especially to their standards. They've made some big plays. Well, not Millen, they both rebounded well, but I think Randy Brady has really done a good job of filling in, and he'll play all year, but picking up the slack at that wing spot. Upcoming, they got Tennessee Tech. That should probably be a blowout. Tennessee Tech was down 30 to Murray State. They lost by 10. They made a comeback. Then they lost bad the other night. I'm totally blanking on who it was, but they lost bad to the other team. Who knows? Tennessee Tech seems to kind of play Chattanooga well here and there, but that shouldn't be a big game. We'll go on to Sanford. Sanford lost to VCU the other night. Really good game. I know you watched a lot of that, Matt. What were your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I've kind of felt good for this team to come out and beat up on Mississippi College a little bit, because they've been through the ringer their first 2 games going to Purdue and VCU. But as great as Jermaine Marshall was, I was very concerned about the rest of the team. Well, AJ State-McCray was great. He was getting to the rim very easily, and he played well. But outside of those 2, Ryland Jones, I think he was like 1 for 10 from the field. He didn't do much. He was turning the ball over. I think he had like 2 turnovers, but that's not what you want him to do. Achor didn't really show up again. And then Alan Spatch came off the bench, and he was kind of the same. They just looked like they were doing cardio out there. And then, you're not getting a lot from those 2, and you don't even give Zach Loveday a look. I don't really understand what they're doing, but I think Coach McMillan knows what he's doing. He's got a lot of transfers over there and just new guys. I think they're just taking some time to figure it out.
Yeah, State McCray impressed me too. Pretty good jump from him. He's played well. Like you said, Jermaine Marshall, I don't feel any worse about picking him to win the SoCon Player of the Year. Maybe I would have thought Woolbright a little bit, but I'm not, I don't feel bad with how Marshall has played at all. I think he's been great. Shot it fairly well too, and that's a big part for him. If he can shoot it, with his physicality, getting to the rim, that will change him as a player. I almost feel like, and this could definitely be something that changed over the year. I almost feel like they're trying to play too many players. They're still figuring it out, and I thought there'd be some growing pains. But like Dallas Grzani, Ryland Jones, Garrett Hicks, Jaden Campbell, Josh Holloway, State McCray, all those guys are getting significant minutes. And I think State McCray obviously should play. That's why I kind of was hesitant to say him there. All those guys, you can't play that many guards. You kind of got to get your guys. And I don't know if I'm that high on Dallas Grzani. You're just limited at that size. as small as he is, he's probably even smaller than what he's listed as. They've got to figure that out. I'm really shocked that Garrett Hicks hasn't got more run. He's a guy that scores 14, 15 points a game for 4 years now, and he's coming off the bench and really not in any sort of feature role. I'm shocked. I thought he would just kind of pick up where Bubba Parham was at, similar player. I'm with you. I haven't been impressed by their other guys, and I think that's something that hopefully will change over time as they get more comfortable with each other, as they figure out, as Bucky makes the decisions of who's going to be the guys. And I know they play a high tempo, press in, all that stuff. And so they're going to play more guys, but there's some guys playing too many minutes. Somewhere they got to shorten, take somebody's minutes and give somebody more run, more release, especially a guy, in my opinion, like Garrett Hicks, playing 18 minutes. Yeah, you've got other good guards, but guys aren't going to be able to get going if they don't play, if they're just in there for short spurts. They're going to feel pressed to get all they can out of their, 5 or 6 minutes that they're out there, probably force some shots. And if they start missing, they're going to lose confidence. I just think that's what they have to figure out. And I'm not super worried about them. I thought there would be some growing pains early, but they definitely they've got some things to figure out right now.
Yeah, one of those four, Hicks, Graziani, Campbell, or Holloway, at the end of the day, one of those four guys is going to elevate himself above the rest. And, you always hear, like, around tournament time or the end of conference play, you really want your rotation 8-ish guys. You can't keep playing this many guys, like, this few minutes. Like, you're going to have to – and I do think at the end of the day it'll be Garrett Hicks that, like, one of those guys is going to have to start eating up the minutes.
Yeah, Graziani plays really hard, and he feels like one of those guys that on a team would be perfect for a team like a Western Carolina who has their stars, their guys they know. Like, he feels like a perfect role guy, complimentary guy. But I feel like Samford needs more punch. They need, somebody else to step up. And I don't know that, him being the starter and kind of the guy who got in there will work out all the time. I think he's more of just a complimentary guy, and that's no shame to be that. But yeah, I'm interested to see how that plays out. Let's go on to UNCG. Are they going to play the games, by the way? Like, they had like one game before Vanderbilt the other night. Like, lost to Vanderbilt. Vandy is better than they get credit for. They've got guys hurt right now. But I thought they'd be better than they have been so far. Definitely not losing to Presbyterian like they did the other night, and then, being in a close game with USC Upstate. Watched some of that game. Mikael Brown-Jones really, really looked good. I think he had 24 or something like that. He was the best big out there, which Vandy's missing their top two bigs, so you can't take too much, but I do think he looked really good. Keyshawn Langley looked good. Donovan Atwell, I think he struggled a little bit. I can't remember exactly what he finished with, but from when I saw him, I didn't think he looked great. But I do think he's got a good future this year. Did you watch any of that game? What are your thoughts and, overall on UNCG?
Yeah, I watched most of it, mostly when they got down. That's kind of when I clicked it on. They were down as much as 18 early in the second half. I kind of have some of the same concerns that I have about Samford, which is, you get a combined 50 of your 70 comes from Mikael Brown-Jones and Keyshawn Langley. That you're not going to get that from those two guys every night. They're very good players, but you can't depend on two guys to produce that much. So I'm like, for them, they need one other guy to step up. I thought Kobe Langley, he didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but he was setting up guys, mainly his brother. But, like, he's a very good playmaker for them. I need Donovan Atwell to step up for them. He did not play very well. But, like, if they can get, a third and fourth guy that they can lean on consistently, I think, because, like, Jalen Breath, you're not expecting a lot from Jalen Breath, but, he's a big physical presence inside. But if you can get Donovan Atwell to step up out on the wing and, become an efficient scorer for you, I think you're in an okay spot. At the end of the day, they just kind of ran out of time. once Vanderbilt got up 18, Greensboro kind of got going, but they, Vandy executed down the stretch, made their free throws, and that was about it.
Yeah, no, I think their depth concerns me. I think Donovan Atwell's going to be good. But he's a guy that I've heard a lot of good things about this offseason, kind of expected him to be pretty good. He's going to figure it out. Kobe Langley, I always think that's such a weird thing when the twin, one of them's so much better than the other, but I think he's better than he's been so far too. They've got to have a lot from Mikael Brown-Jones and Keyshawn Langley, and even Atwell. I think Atwell will figure it out. But yeah, the depth definitely concerns me. Upcoming, they've got Arkansas, probably not winning that game. I'm afraid. So that's not really much of anything I want to touch on. So let's move on to Wofford. Wofford, all I want to touch on them. They got a good win versus High Point. High Point's a decent program, but I thought they looked good against Tennessee, and I was surprised by that. Corey Tripp looked really good. He looked better than maybe I had. I don't know if I talked about him a lot, but more than I thought he would. And I thought I was concerned. I thought Kyler Filowich didn't look great. And maybe it was, he's going up against 7-footers because I think he's a really good player. I think he is such a good SoCon big, just, more heavier set, 6'8", 6'9" dude, can move people with his weight, really fundamental post moves, really good player down there. I think he has a big year for them, hopefully, if he realizes he's good. I kind of thought against Tennessee he was super passive sometimes. He got the ball down low in good positions and was looking to pass. I was like, dude, you're a good player. Take that up. I also thought Jackson Civils looked good. I like him as a role guy last year. I thought he played a good game. He's got some athleticism, can shoot it. He's going to have to continue to take a step, and they've just got to have something for the other guys, and that may not be something that happens in really year one for Dwight Perry. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I didn't see much of the Tennessee game. But when it comes to High Point, they did impress me a little bit. Corey Tripp didn't play particularly well in that one, but he didn't play well, and they had other guys step up. Dylan Bailey was huge. They had 7 guys in double figures in that one and 44 bench points. So, they found a way to win around their best player not playing that well. Filowich was solid in that game, but, we talk about, Furman played very well and beat Belmont. Well, it took a very good performance from Wofford to beat High Point, so that kind of shows me the levels of the SoCon, but they did play very well that night.
Yeah, and then we'll touch on ETSU. Not going to be the year for them, I don't think. That's Butler is fine. Getting dominated like they did at Butler doesn't make you feel good. You got any thoughts on ETSU?
Couldn't watch the Butler game.
I turned it on for a few seconds and then turned it off because it was bad. They've Kwamari Peterson has looked good. I'll touch on him, but that's about it. Brooks Savage is, you weren't expecting him to year one flip it around, and that's obviously what's probably going to be. The Citadel 0-3, but I'll give them this: they haven't looked that bad so far. Not as bad as I thought they would be. I guess I thought they would finish probably not bottom 2. I thought that they had a good chance of doing that, and I feel good about that. They haven't looked horrible. They played a fairly tough schedule for the Citadel. I don't know how they hosted Boston College. Apparently somebody said something with a coach's connection or something. Yeah.
They hosted?
Yeah.
I thought they were at Boston College.
Yeah, no. But they played some teams close. And they've been better than, you would think. Mercer, I guess have looked better since losing to Clark Atlanta. They played Morehead State the other night, decently. Morehead State, I think, probably wins the OVC. They definitely were going to win it before Morehead lost their best player, who was going to be the player of the year, but they've had some other guys step up. I think they're still going to be at the top of the OVC. So that's a decent performance for them.
Robbie Carmody has played very well for Mercer. He's He's been shooting the ball very well. They moved Ngumezi to the bench, which I thought was interesting, but he did come off the bench and play well. He had 8 rebounds against Chicago State. And then McCreary had 18 and 6. And then, I mean, those aren't.
I've hated on McCreary a little too much. Maybe it's more of a Mercer hate than McCreary because I think he'd be good on another team and he'd be able to put up more efficient, more translating to winning numbers than he does. So I'm sorry, McCreary family, if you're listening to this or
it was
Taylor.
Good to see Jock and Jonas kind of wake up against Morehead State, though. He looked, I don't want to say he looked like he didn't want to be there, but he just looked like he was struggling to get in the flow in the first 2 games. And then Morehead State, he woke up and played well.
Yeah.
That Morehead State team shot the ball very well against them, so it would have been a tough win anyway.
Yeah, and like you said, Robbie Carmody looks good. I didn't even realize, I guess totally, he used to be a top 100 recruit, and he's been hurt he was hurt pretty much every year at Notre Dame. So if he could get anything out of what he has left, I can relate to having a broken body. If he can get anything, that would be big for them. VMI, it's going to be a tough year for them, but they stayed in the game against USC. And that is not University of South Carolina. It's University of the SoCon. Lamont Paris, Stephen Clark, BJ Mack. Just wait till next year. Who are we going to have starting at point guard for South Carolina? Probably Miles Che at point guard, Honor Huff at the 2.
Don't do that to Miles Che.
JP McGee's at the 3. And Lamont loves him some SoCon players. That's about his number one recruiting tactic is just getting the best players that they're transferring out of SoCon and then getting lucky on a few big time recruits that want to reclassify or whatever. So I was impressed that they stayed in the game against South Carolina somewhat. And speaking on South Carolina, BJ Max looked good, and we don't have to talk about that much, but he's been pretty impressive so far. I'm surprised his game's translated as well as it has. I thought he would be an okay player, but I thought he was really a mid-major player. But congrats to him. He's looked like a good player so far.
My biggest takeaway from VMI is Tyron Cook came off the bench and played very well in both of those games. I think he was shooting above 70% from the field in both games, and he had double digits in both games in like 20 minutes. So he's an exciting piece for them. Tayshawn Jackson just needs to do more offensively, but he's rebounding the ball well. They just need to step up a little bit.
Yeah, so let's talk some of the questions we got. I'll start here, and I'll just cover this. Got a question. Good out of conference showing for the league so far. What are the remaining potential good wins? So I went through the schedules. I think the only teams that can really get good wins are those top 5. I think Wofford. I skipped out on them. But Wofford's got some winnable games, and I'll go over that a little bit there. But Sanford, they've got Belmont. They're hosting Belmont soon. Like I said, Belmont's a really good team. That would be a big win for the SoCon. Western Carolina, they've got Vanderbilt. I wish they had Vanderbilt this week because Vanderbilt still doesn't have Tyron Lawrence or Van Allen Lubin. And Jerry Stackhouse announced the other day that they're expected to be back when they go to Vegas, which is in the end of the week or something. I think they could still beat Vanderbilt, but I legit think they would be favored to beat Vanderbilt if they didn't have Tyron Lawrence, because Tyron Lawrence is an NBA guy, really good player. They've also got McNeese State, like I said earlier. That's a big game. If they win that, that's another quality win. I'll be even more impressed with them. Furman, like we said, got Liberty, UAB. They also play Arkansas. Probably don't win that, but Furman, I would feel better about having a chance to beat Arkansas than UNCG. They could shock them there. I think Furman's really good, but that's really unlikely, and you don't expect a team like that to do that, but it's possible. Chattanooga, they have Lipscomb, who, if Lipscomb doesn't have their big man Jacob Nosovich like they haven't so far this year, Chattanooga should beat them. If they have him, that's a tougher game. I'm not sure Lipscomb's got a lot of young guys. I probably overestimated them a little bit coming into the year, but just preseason wise, they're ranked pretty high. They've got Morehead State, like I said, picked to win the OVC. the problem for Chattanooga, they're going away in all these games. So Lipscomb, Moore State, and then they got Milwaukee. Milwaukee's got B.J. Freeman, who's a draft prospect. They're projected to finish fairly high in their league. Those are all going to be good wins if they can get those. They're on the road, so definitely tough. UNCG, Arkansas, and Texas, probably not winning those. But then they got Eastern Kentucky. They host Eastern Kentucky, and Eastern Kentucky's picked to win the ASUN. That's another potential good win there that they can get. Then we'll go. We've got. Can anyone else go 10 deep talking about Furman? About their depth. I think Western Carolina and Furman. That's part of what makes them so good. I think Western Carolina's the only team that's like that with that much depth, that many guys that I feel good about contributing. Maybe Sanford figures it out. Do you have any thoughts on that? You think any teams there?
Sanford has the pieces. I just think, maybe Josh Holloway is a year away from, being that guy in the lineup. But, that if, some of those guys step up, you need more from Graziani. They do have the pieces to make it happen. I just don't know that, their 10 stacks up well against Westerns or Furmans.
Yeah, then another one is Chattanooga in that top group with Furman or Western Carolina. I'll let you answer that one first.
Right now, no. But because what's odd is Chattanooga feels very young. Like Sam Alexis is a sophomore, Miles Che is a freshman, and Huff is a sophomore. So, right now, no, because those other teams have experience. But if that confidence and that swagger of the Chattanooga team keeps growing, they could vault into that top. That's where we were kind of in the middle with them because, you don't know what you're going to get from some of these wild card guys like Demetrius Davis and stuff like that. But, if they can put it together and play well, they could certainly be up there. But right now, no, they're not.
Yeah, I agree. Honor Huff really impressed me the other night when he wasn't knocking down shots, that he was still so impactful. He didn't get out of control. He had 5 turnovers or something. I know that Dan Earl is probably in his ear and all the coaches are, that will probably calm down. But at the same time, he's so confident and, plays that way. That's something you have to account for. Sometimes I think Jan Zedek's going to start knocking down shots. He's had so many threes go in and out. And Demetrius Davis is probably the most concerning to me just because he has all the tools. And he hasn't even played as good as he played last year. I think he's got a really, and he still made an impact. He's had some big plays, but I think he knows that too, that he probably hasn't played his best so far. They've got to figure out the wing spot. That's a big question mark for him right now, outside of, who's going to be an impact player out of Demetrius Davis, Tyler Millen, and Randy Brady. If they want to be in that top group, one of them has really got to step up and be a guy that can get 15, 20 points.
What I really liked that I saw from Demetrius Davis was for really the first time, his shot wasn't falling and he kind of recognized that and started to impact the game in other ways. Dan Earl was raving about his 2 big offensive rebounds down the stretch. I thought he played really well defensively once he realized his shot wasn't falling. But I want to see him put together a complete game where he plays well offensively and you see all the effort plays like that.
Yeah. All right, then the next one. Which SoCon win is the best so far before conference play starts? And he said something about predicting their best win. Let's go with so far what's happened. What would you say is the best win for the league so far?
I would probably say Western Carolina over MTSU. Obviously they've got 2 ACC wins over a broken Louisville team and I don't want to say rebuilding, but Notre Dame's not where they normally are. But that MTSU team is very athletic. They're big. They defend very well. So like you kind of said, they're like Western Carolina on crack. So to see, Western step up and find a way to win that game on the road was very impressive to me.
Yeah, I think I would go Furman Belmont And I think it's a lot because, Belmont didn't play their best, and it was at home at Furman. It's good, really good environment. But I was impressed. Belmont did make some runs, knock down threes three threes in a row at times, like really tried to get to single digits. And I felt like Furman just kept on answering. They just kept on making big answers to keep the game out of reach, keep it where it was a dominant game for them. And that killed Belmont, kills the morale. And that's something that good teams, mature teams, experienced teams do is, don't, it is a game of runs, but don't get, too up and down. I was super impressed with how they dominated that game. You could put an asterisk, not an asterisk, but like you do have to recognize that Belmont, that's probably the worst Cade Tyson and Malik Dia combined will shoot for them all year. And it was at Furman, which is a tough place to play. But I was super impressed with all their guys. PJ Smith was awesome. Cooper Bowser was awesome. I think Carter Witt has got potential. Marcus Foster was good. Pegues looks every bit as worthy of being a SoCon Player of the Year candidate so far. That's my win. Western Carolina had some good wins. Chattanooga had some good wins, but that's probably my most impressive win just because of what I think Belmont is.
Something you hit on, though, is, if that win comes at Belmont and, you get great games from Cade Tyson and Dia and Furman still finds a way to win, we kind of take a step back and we're like, whoa, this Furman team could make some noise. But, it's still a very solid win.
Yep. Which transfer portal addition do you foresee making the biggest impact for Sanford this season?
As of now, I'd probably say Rylan Jones just because of opportunity. Jones has been getting the start. I think Graziani got the start against Purdue, so he could do the jump ball. But I'd say Rylan Jones just because he's going to be, the point guard in that offense. He's going to have the most opportunity to make an impact. But I do think, if Garrett Hicks gets going and finds his rhythm off the bench, he could be, very impactful for them and help them win some games.
Yeah, I think we touched on this a lot when we talked about for Sanford, but I would probably agree. I think for the best version of Sanford, it's going to have to be Garrett Hicks. If Sanford doesn't become what we think they can, then it's going to be Rylan Jones, in my opinion. And that's not a slight to Rylan Jones. I just think Hicks is going to bring more scoring and is just, probably the best version of them is him stepping up and becoming a starter next to Jones. And then I'll finish with this. Let's do a breakdown here of my guy.
Gather step.
We got a question. Can we break down the gather step? Human here for now 987. So whoever that is, I'm not totally sure. He follows me. I appreciate anyone who interacts with me, so I won't hate on him too much. And I like going. So got a Jake Old Hoops. Congrats on the win, but this is NBA level traveling, and he asked for this breakdown. First of all, let's highlight this. Congrats on the win. Also, if you're on podcast, you'll see this on YouTube. Congrats on the win. I didn't play, if you didn't know that. So I'm also a media member. I go to school. I pay to go to Chattanooga. So unfortunately, I'm not on scholarship and on the team. I think that's the funniest thing when people tell me stuff about y'all did your best. Well, I'm not on the team, guys. So thank you for congratulating me on the win, but I did nothing. But this is NBA level traveling. Then he put another thing. I'm probably getting old. A little bit of old head take, not even a little bit. So let's introduce you to the gather step. I said, brother, let me introduce you to the concept of gather step. Honor Huff, big steal here. We're going to go frame by frame here. So we've got him going down. Now here. All right, he takes this dribble. Let's just play the play here first. Gets a steal. All right, gets a layup, whatever. That was the start of the big run, 13-0 run. So let's go back. Let's break this down. So he gets this dribble right here. That's his last dribble. This is called the gather step. This is what it is. So technically, when he dribbles this ball, his feet right here, he could take 1,000 steps. before he touches that ball, and none of those count towards his steps. So when he dribbles there, now he's got the ball. He picks it up there. This step right here is called the gather step. This step does not count. Okay? So gather, 1. So that's it. That's his gather, so no step. 1, 2. I'm shocked that this was even a tweet I got, honestly. So yeah, let's also say this is NBA level traveling. The NBA does not travel like people think they do. A lot of it is the gather step. So we need to educate people. That doesn't count as a step. That's not a step, guys. So that's all I really wanted to get across there. Also would love for people to understand that the NBA is not the product that you think it is. They do not just run around and walk. They see the video of Russell Westbrook holding the ball, walking up the court, directing people and stuff, guarding step backs. Those get called. They don't do that every game of the NBA. So yeah, we'll leave it at that.
That play is different to me if you watch it in real time and you're like, that looked kind of unnatural. Like,
yeah,
he may have traveled there. But like watching it as it happened, there was nothing that I saw that made me think it was even remotely close to a walk.
No, yes, and that's the problem too. Is people see something that looks weird and they think it's a travel a lot of times. Let me get one more rant off here about college basketball rules. Can we fix continuation? I mean, come on, dude. The continuation, especially in the Chattanooga game the other night, and just in college basketball in general, is ridiculous. And I understand not wanting to be like the NBA is sometimes, where you get fouled at the 3-point line and then drive in for a layup and get the call. But oh my Lord, like there's times when guys are driving in and they get right in the middle of the paint and they're clearly about to take it up and they just get hacked where they can't. And they're like, all right, on the floor. Can we fix this in college basketball? I've got so much beef with college basketball rules, and I won't get into all of it because we'd be here for hours. But that's the dumbest thing ever, dude. Like, I'm sorry.
There was one on
so
Sam Alexis was shooting the ball, and he was like halfway up, and they fouled him.
He was getting held down by some little dudes, and then he takes it up right after the whistle, and they called on the floor. So
they come over to the scoring table, and they're like, shooting foul, and then they're like on the floor for you to take it out. I was like, or he said 1-on-1. I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah, so feel free, if you can tell, I like to rant about things. So feel free, if you got anything you need to get out or you want me to get out for you, send me a DM, respond to one of our posts, and I'll get it out towards the end of these episodes here. So that's all we have today. I think excited for some more SoCon basketball this week. Leagues looked really good. It's been fun. We are some sickos. I love me some mid-major basketball. But yeah, I appreciate everyone that's tuned in so far. If you're a second-time listener, I really appreciate you. I'll give you a virtual hug. But thank you so much. Subscribe on YouTube if you're there. Follow us on Twitter, most importantly, so we can interact with you.